JeffersonKRogers podcast. I got a special guest with me here today, Mr. Kale Goodman.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here, brother. I'm looking forward to it. I was excited when you asked me a week ago or so. I was like, hell yeah, dude.
Yeah, I at least gave you some time. When I told Trevor, I gave him like 48 hours. I said, bro, I need some help.
That's awesome.
But yeah, we're getting a little bit better at scheduling, so we got some time ahead to plan, and excited to have you today.
Yeah.
The owner of Easier Accounting, and also
60-day credit repair. We've got the podcast, Real Business Owners. We've got some other things we're partnered in, but those are the main things, you know. Just those three things are kind of where we spend most of our time.
We'll have to jam on the new restaurant venture you guys just got into too. I'm interested to hear about.
Yeah, I mean, the Everbowl.
The Everbowl.
The Everbowl's cool, man. They've got this whole business model planned to just really explode over the next 5 years. They've got tons of interest from big groups that go and buy big franchises up. And so that's kind of what their target is to like build it up, really systemize it, get numbers looking great. You know, the whole brand just really just awesome, and then sell the whole thing off. Okay. And so we're excited to be a part of it because based on conservative numbers from what they're doing, they're looking like, hey, each store is going to be worth about $3 million, you know? So we're investing into one store right now as a franchisee, but then we also have invested into the corporate side of it as well. So we'll make money two different ways if everything works out as planned. But over the 5 years of doing it, it's worth it because the positive cash flow that comes in off of that's better than even multifamily. You know, I mean, you're putting in like $160,000 and you're making about $5,000-6,000 a month in your investor cut every single month off that $160,000. You can't do that in real estate, you know.
No kidding.
So yeah, I mean,
so how did you first get pitched on that?
Just friends, man. I mean, that's been the power of
somebody who's already involved in it.
Yeah, I mean, dude, you know, just from being in different networking groups, I know you're in some as well. You meet just really cool people in there doing different things at different levels. And when you have a higher price of admission to get into those groups, you meet people at different levels. And so our friend Aaron Wagner, you might have seen some of his stuff online. Like, dude, he's taken Crumble Cookie and blown that up. And now he's doing Everbowl with Jeff Fenster. And we meet all these guys through these groups. And it wasn't even like they really pitched it. It was just kind of like, hey, this is what we're doing. And then a few people get involved. Like, hey, it's more like FOMO, right? Like, hey, I want to be part of that too.
Absolutely.
But I was telling my wife one day, I was like, you know, it's so crazy to look at our life right now because I'm like, when I was thinking about where I was at 5 years ago, even I look at like, man, where do people get like involved in these deals? It's like I don't even hear about them until it's too late. Like, how do you get that insider information? You know, and you just think it's like out of this world. Like, you know, you've got to be someone super special to get that insider information or get in on the stuff that's cutting edge before it's cutting edge, and you really don't. You just have to actually like level yourself up enough to be a part of these bigger rooms, man. That's where all the magic is happening.
100%, dude. It's those relationships. Like if you didn't have the relationships with those people, we're putting yourself out there to introduce yourself, and guys like Aaron Wagner, Jeff Fenster, and some of these other guys that are pushing big deals. I mean, that's you never run into them unless you're in the same room with those guys.
Yeah, it's true.
Because it's not like they're broadcasting it out to a big group of people saying, "Hey, we need investors." Yeah, Aaron makes one phone call, and he can fill an entire room with multimillionaires to just talk about some ideas and put together a big amount of money to fund something like that. Yeah.
He's actually said many times, and he lives up to it as well. He's like, hey man, like I can raise money like that. Like you said, I can make one phone call and I go fill this whole, you know, fund up with what we need. He's like, I like doing business with people that are my friends, you know? And so I'm grateful that, you know, he looks at us as like a friend. I mean, we have gotten to know him through these groups, and, you know, it's been fun, you know, it's been fun to get to know some of these people. And that's really how it is at that level too. It's like, you don't want to just take anybody's money to go build stuff. I mean, people are pains in the asses, dude, you know? So you might as well be able to choose. And it's obviously cool to choose people to do business with that aren't pain in the ass.
Absolutely. And there's something to be said about also just working with people that have good karma too. Yeah. So the couple of deals that I've been involved with them, their Axia fund is more the multifamily RV parks and storage units, I think is the other one. Yeah. But they are only basically letting people get involved with that they know and they like and that they've been referred to. And it's a lot funner to do business with the people you like and you enjoy because they've got more of that like experiential type of investor relationship with people. They encourage people. It's like, listen, we're going out to Pennsylvania. we're going out to Missouri. And if you want to come along while we go shop this deal, this is where we'll be, this is where we're staying, these are the days we'll be there.
Yeah.
And we want you to come out and learn how to do this.
Yeah.
Because the more experienced you are and knowledgeable as an investor, the more comfortable you are in the deals and the lingo that they're talking about, to know that they aren't just blowing smoke. These guys are good at what they do. This is all they do.
Yeah.
And if that deal doesn't make sense, they're not even in it to begin with.
Yep.
So it's been fun. That Axia fund, I was just on a call last night, and they've got these players in this group that are working to put these deals together. They travel together and negotiate the deals, do the due diligence on the deals. And like the brains in this phone call last night is just insane.
Yeah.
It makes you feel comfortable with, in the position that I'm in, running a business, and as busy as I am doing other things, I don't have the time to do all that stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, those guys are serious about what they do.
Yeah. Amen to that.
But I still want to be able to take advantage of that type of investment without having to do all the legwork and trust that it's going to go well.
Yeah, and you want to learn too, man. Like I know that for a lot of deals I've been involved with, and I've jumped on some of those calls, and they're being very transparent, which is key. You want to obviously work with people who are very transparent, especially when you're investing your hard-earned money. Transparency is so huge. But man, like sometimes they talk over your head, and you're like, well, you're hearing these words, you don't even know what they mean. And so, it's cool to kind of learn too, because as you learn, you get that knowledge. I mean, that's powerful. Then you know more going into the next deal, and that's really the secret to becoming a solid ass investor is like, you just learn as you go, like anything else.
The repetition has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
I've been in as many of those calls as I possibly can to hear from those big wigs, like the global players in real estate.
Yep.
Because they talk at that level, and most of it's going over my head, but I'm sitting there taking notes.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to absorb as much as I can, because me compared to 2 years ago, first listening to those phone calls and not grasping 90% of what they're saying compared to now.
Yeah.
And I know some of the lingo, and I'm looking at their spreadsheets, and I can kind of just at a glance be able to recognize where they're getting these numbers from. It just feels a lot better to know that you're making a good decision because you know what numbers you're looking at, instead of just going off of, seem like good guys.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I've been burned on some investments to learn that myself too, the hard way. So,
the salesmen are the best at making themselves seem like they're good guys. So if you have the knowledge to back it up and you can make an educated decision, it definitely helps.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go that extra bit.
Yeah, it's fun.
So the Everbowl, then do you guys also invest in some multifamily as well?
Dude, I've wanted to. I haven't gotten into any multifamily deals. I should probably get hooked in with the Axiom Fund.
Yeah.
I actually saw when you were there, I got an invite up to that too. I couldn't make that because you went up to Newark for the first one, right?
I did.
With Aaron and some of those guys. I remember seeing that. And dude, I like being in those rooms, first of all, because like what we talked about, like learning, but
there's some big players.
I do want that as a part of my portfolio. We've invested a lot into our own businesses, and then now we've been playing that investor role into other things. We love business, and that's what we know the best. And so that's where we tend to invest a lot in. Absolutely. We're in a lot of tech startups. We're in the Everbowl stuff. We have some online store stuff that we're making some money off of, and so we've got all these different investments out there. But I did a land deal with these guys in Texas just recently too. But it's just to develop some commercial land and flip it off. But no long-term multifamily, and I know some guys in that space, and we keep talking, but I just haven't found the deal, because a lot of people, they either want to borrow your money, pay you a rate of return, refinance the property, buy you out, and now you don't own any of it. And I'm like, no. I want an equity position. I want to be involved in some deals that are good 10, 20, 30-year holds. That's what I want. I don't want some, quick flip, borrow your money for a couple of years, make 14% on your money and give it back. I don't want that stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm looking for the right deals, but I want to build that up.
It's important to have what you're looking for. So for me, I've got a little bit of that over on this side, and then the funds are a little bit more completely passive, just borrowing my money, put it in a fund.
Yeah.
And when it pays out, I get to participate in the upside plus some guarantees every month.
Yeah.
So I do a little bit of both, but for me it's been interesting just going out there and actually being a part of the due diligence and walking the properties. And for me, I don't have the bandwidth to actually participate enough to be a general partner unless it was just a big chunk of money that would count me as a general partner.
Right.
Because sometimes that's what it takes when you're so involved with your business. that you don't have the time to contribute like those guys do that are out there shopping and doing the due diligence, the money can get you into one of those deals.
Yeah, exactly.
Where you can participate in all the upside, plus the benefits of being that general partner. So anyways, Aaron Wagner is a fantastic person to talk to. My connection is Dave Allred to that group.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So he's another real high level guy. I've been doing multifamily.
Yeah, super cool dude. I met him at the Avengers Mastermind. Yeah. Yeah. He said he wanted to come down and jump on the podcast, which would be awesome. He's phenomenal. Done some stuff, you know. He's phenomenal. Yeah, really cool dude.
Actually, I think my first guest on the JeffersonKRogers podcast was Dave Allred.
Yeah. I think I saw part of that one on the live. Yeah.
I had some guests. I had some of my guys on with me that I work with.
Yeah.
Help me like get the jitters out. Yeah. Just BSing with some of my guys, but
ain't nothing to it but to get started, you know what I mean?
And Dave was phenomenal. I mean, I've actually I got his name right here. Dave Allred. Dave Allred, I'm coming for you, dude. We're going to 2 times a month. I do some consulting with Dave still.
Oh, very cool. Yeah, he's a smart dude.
He is very smart, and I've gotten a lot of opportunity from that one relationship.
Yeah,
with the real estate deals and the knowledge of the multifamily specifically, and there's so many other different avenues you can take. Yeah, that's why I was interested in the Everbowl too.
Yeah, yeah. I want to get a couple in our area. So if this first one gets going, it's really good. And I want to get one over off of the west side of town over there by where they're popping the new gym up, and then that new exit going in when that starts getting populated.
It'll do so well.
Yeah, I think we should throw a couple more up. Maybe we'll have to do one together.
There's I would love that. Yeah, I've got this stinking show prep that I'm doing right now. Mm-hmm. And I see everybody posting their Everbowl snacks and just like all colorful and all the goodies inside of there. Yeah. There's so many things that I can't wait to eat when I'm done.
Have you had an Everbowl before you started prepping?
I never have.
Oh, I didn't. I invested before I'd had one. They just looked delicious. And then, the deal made sense. So I was like, yeah, man. And then when we went and finally had one, my kids loved it. My wife loved it. I was like, this is really good. It's better than like these yogurt places with all the toppings. Mm-hmm. It's legit tastes better and it's more healthy for you. I'm like, this is freaking double win.
Yeah, I still haven't had one. But I've been doing this show for 83 days now. Yeah. Where I haven't had any sugar, any sweets. Ice cream is the biggest thing that I'm looking forward to. I'm going to eat an entire tub of coffee ice cream.
You'll be glad you did it. It'll make it that much
sweeter. It'll probably make me sick, but I'm going to do it anyways.
That moment though, that'll be nice.
Yeah. So I want to do you've got a really cool story, man. We've talked about it just a little bit, and I've heard you talk about it on your guys' podcast a little bit, but I wanted to get kind of a background because we go way back. Yeah. High school, partying, drinking, drugs, for me at least. Yeah. But I know that it hadn't always been like all success and all butterflies and rainbows for you.
Oh, heck no. Yeah. Dude, honestly, I never did do a whole lot of drugs. Thankfully, I didn't like them. So I was running around with that crowd. Yeah. Right. So, I mean, I tried things. I didn't even like marijuana. And so I hated the way I felt being high. Mm-hmm. I liked drinking, liquid courage, trying to meet the girls and stuff. But every time I tried other things like hard drugs, it was just like, man, I did not even like the way it made me feel. I don't like feeling foggy and cloudy and, not clear headed. And I can't even describe it, man. But that insecurity that I would feel like on something even like pot, like I was like, why does people even like this, right? So I'm grateful that I never really went down that road, but I did get in a lot of trouble. I gravitated towards the wrong crowds for a lot of years, and a lot of that's because of my upbringing, but man, when I got my girlfriend pregnant, the start of my senior year of actually the summer before my senior year in high school, it really changed things quite a bit. I started my senior year and I got through football, and we were just getting ready to go up to the state championship tournament. And I think we were going to place like Bear River or something like that. And I pulled the coach aside and I was like, hey, I'm not gonna finish football out the rest of the year. I've got to go get a job. And it was Coach Kitcherell. I don't know if you remember him. He's like, you're an idiot. He started, busting my balls. And I told him, I was like, well, I got a girl pregnant, and it's, it's just time for me to go start life. I'm not going to finish out this year. And anyway, he talked me into finishing out the football season. And wow. And so I did. I was just kind of on the team, and I finished it out. And man, I went and got a job pushing carts. And right before I went and got the job, I got hired, and me and Kevin, You remember Kevin?
Yep.
You know, one of our troublemaker friends, right?
Oh, yeah.
You know, but he's turned his life around. He's been pretty successful in a lot of things as well, right? There's something about them troublemakers, man. They can turn into hustlers later if they channel it right.
It is, if you channel it right.
But dude, I went up snowboarding with him. It was like, hey, one more trip, you know, before we go start this life stuff. You know, you're gonna be a dad, and so we go up snowboarding. I'm doing like this 360 over a tabletop, over rotate, you know, and catch an edge, tumble down the hill. I go to get up, and my arm's broken. Just right when we were talking before, I said I broke this arm, nerve damage, paralyzed my arm for like 6 months. And so I went to go start my first day pushing carts, and I had only one arm. And I still showed up, man. I still pushed carts every day. Just started getting some paychecks underneath me before that.
Where was it?
Right here on Smith's, the end of the boulevard here, yeah. So I was pushing carts there for months. When my arm healed up, they promoted me to stocking shelves, but then I needed to make more money than that, so I went to Walmart distribution, and I hated that, man, that warehouse, even though you're making a little more money. Then I heard about guys making money in the call center selling, jumped into that, and I didn't think I was going to be good at sales at all, man. I just, you know, I thought that was just not for me at all. But as a kid, I always loved money. I always wanted more money, and I wanted to be rich because my upbringing wasn't rich, man. My parents came from just construction, and even when they made good money, they never had money. You know, and they always were in trouble with the IRS or behind financially. They had horrible money habits to the point where, dude, my dad had our liens on our home. They levied his bank accounts. My mom went to get a job to put food on the table. They garnished her paychecks at her job. And then my dad could only work for cash under the table deals because he couldn't even accept credit. He couldn't run any money through a bank. And so that limited him how much money he could make. So we got really poor when the IRS stepped in and started levying everything and garnishing everything. And so, man, I kind of had the mindset for a long time, like, why would anybody want to be a business owner when this is what they can do? They can just take everything from you, right? Like, this is horrible. That's what they do to business owners, is what I thought. But since I got into sales and I started tasting money, I started making that 6 figures, I was like, I'm capped out though. Like, you can only really make so much as a sales rep. I want to be a business owner, but I was still scared of it. Well, then I went to go sell and work for a tax and accounting company. I got really good at it. And part of it is because of my upbringing. I just gravitated towards it, man. I was spending more time with the accountants and the CPAs, just learning about it so that I could talk to these business owners. And I did that really well for a few years, and it gave me the courage to start a side hustle. And so that's what I did. I want to start a side hustle. Started making money. We scaled it up to about, you know, a couple $1 million a year in revenue. My boss fired me. He's like, you ain't focused here anymore. I dropped from the #1 sales guy to #2. And the guy that I brought in, recruited, trained, and right underneath me, you know, was like my top guy right underneath me. He was the one that was starting to beat me. And so I was like, Ted, you're going to fire me just because I'm #2? Like, I'm still crushing it. Caleb's the only guy that's beaten me, and I brought him in and trained him. Like, you're going to fire me when you got all these other jokers that are just milking the clock, really? And he's like, sorry, maybe you'll thank me one day. And I do.
Committed, yeah.
But after that side hustle, you know, we kicked ass at that for a minute. I just love the tax and accounting thing.
Did Caleb go with you though?
He stayed there.
You stayed?
Yeah. You know, and Caleb, you know, he kind of got hooked up in a bad scene there for a little while. You know, he kind of got hooked on. He kind of, you know, he got addicted to things, and you know, he just stayed there. You know, he just stayed there. He got kind of addicted to some different substances that weren't the best for him, and it's too bad, man. You know, but it was hard for him to leave that scene. I would have loved for him to come over, but his partner, or my partner Jeremy, is his brother. You know, so I was always stayed really connected to him, but man, I love that tax and accounting so much, dude. I just decided to start my own. My old boss didn't like that. He sued me a couple times. We had to go through the system a couple times.
That's so much negativity.
Yeah.
Did he ever get anywhere with it?
No, you know, and he actually called me one day on the second lawsuit, and he was like, listen, man, I'm just going to put you out of business because, you know, I've got a couple $100,000 to throw at this and lose, and you don't. And I didn't like that. I was like, bring it on, you know? So we went through it all. Obviously, he didn't put us out, you know, but it was weird because I was never really trying to compete with him directly either, you know? It was just kind of, I don't know if it was just like an ego play or something. Oh, yeah. But dude, I mean, we're friends to this day. Like, we got through all that. I see him. I have a lot of respect for him. He was like one of my first real mentors in business. You know, I learned a lot from him in areas that were very strong and in some areas that were really weak in his leadership. He was a strong leader in areas, and then he was really... overbearing in some areas as well. He was hard to work for. And so I was able to learn a lot from that as well, you know, because I want to be a great leader. I want to continue to be a great leader in my business, in my family, everything, right? And so Absolutely. I'm always looking for positives and negatives when it comes to leadership. So, but still today, man, that's what we do. We, you know, tax and accounting is still my main thing. It's what I love. You know, my mission's changed a lot over the years, but a lot of it still stems from my childhood, man. If I can help some business owner develop better money habits, I can help them, you know, reduce taxation and create a better quality of life through that, so they don't have to run that put a lot of strain on our family growing up. So Absolutely. When I can run people through that, or get ahead of that with some business owners, or help pull out of that for some business owners, and not let it absolutely crush their personal and their business life, like that just means the world to me, you know. And so we're really proud of what we've built. We're getting some really cool high level like clients now, and it's just like, man, you know, like for a long time, like we didn't know if we were doing it right. You know, we just kept showing up every day, just kept trying to improve it. But you know, the results speak for themselves. You know, now that we're kind of, you know, getting into some of them higher levels. So
that's awesome. So how long has Easier Accounting been around now?
So my first accounting business was called Precision Corporate Services with different partners. We did that from 2007 to 2012. And that's when one partner was embezzling. We found out another partner was kind of doing some shady things behind the door as well. And that's not necessarily embezzling or whatever. But it just wasn't a great partnership, you know, and we weren't as active in the company, which is our own fault. So that whole thing fell apart, and we scaled it to 8 figures. So we had a great thing going, and because we couldn't all get on the same page, it just crumbled. But the sales guys loved me. They loved the way I treated them. I always respected the sales guys. I always knew that, like, man, how you treat people is like so important. And I saw how mistreated they were at that office. I didn't work at that office. I had other businesses. But I would pop in, and I would just see these guys were miserable, man. The way they were talked to, the way they were treated. You know, it was almost like they did have an opportunity to make 6 figures, and it's like the other owners just treated them like that. Like, well, you're lucky to have a job here.
Just not the best culture to be involved in.
It was horrible culture, man. Yeah. So I remember talking to Trevor and Jeremy because we had just restructured a partnership on a totally different business, the credit repair business. And I was like, man, I think we should bring these guys over now that this whole thing's falling apart. We should keep the tax and accounting thing going. And I think we can make it better, too, because we've had our own horrible experiences in the tax and accounting. We had some bookkeeper that caused an audit because she was running payroll improperly, you know, and so we were like, man, I think we can do this better all the way around. Wow. And so we decided to start Easier Accounting. So that was in 2012.
No kidding. So damn near been 10 years now.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, so I think that's when we officially gave it its name and bought the domain name.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So now this building over here that you guys run your sales team out of, just right around the corner.
Yeah.
What do the guys do over there?
So we've got 2 different buckets to the company, right? We've got our startup packages, and then we've got more our existing business owner packages, right? They've more established businesses, I should say. So we've got different sales teams for different levels of packages. So if we get someone referred to us that's just in startup mode, there is so vital to make sure that you tax plan ahead of time. I wish I would have done more tax planning, even though I came from a tax and accounting company before we started. But so we try, our sales pitch is designed all around showing them the value. Hey, let's tax plan right now, so you don't go down this road of making all these mistakes that are going to be costly. And we show them the value in that right up front. And then we build it into like a membership. It's a low monthly fee where they get unlimited consulting, tax prep at the end of the year. But it is more for the lower level startup. And then we have and that goes to a different team of accountants, right? And then we have our other teams of accountants and salespeople where they're more, you know, dealing with high-level business owners. They need more attention. They're not getting the communication from their accountants. They need, like, day-to-day bookkeeping. They need P&Ls and balance sheets on time. The number one complaint is like, dude, I don't have my numbers, right? And so we're just continuously trying to dial that in to just give that super proactive service to the more established business owners.
Awesome. So is that, you were saying that you meet with this sales team every day?
Well, I meet with them every Monday.
Every Monday.
Yeah, but then I also meet with the other people at the other office too. Not every morning, but most mornings. You know, like I've got an assistant over there that's helping me get more structured and systemize and help. I'm able to delegate some things to him, so I'm meeting with him a lot. Mm-hmm. And then I got my right-hand guy in marketing. I'm working with him a lot because I'm the guy on camera and developing scripts, and we're filming, and, you know, Trevor's in there with us too. So we're meeting on things like different things every day, but yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So that's one of the important things for me since the beginning when I first made that big jump from doing 2 million in 2019
Yeah.
to doing 10 million the next year was just more involvement.
Yeah.
It's a bigger commitment. It's more time.
Yeah.
But you are the face of the company.
Yeah.
You are the company basically in the beginning, in those beginning stages where all that enthusiasm, the drive, the vision of where this company is going is coming from right here.
Yeah.
And if you're not showing up every day to push that and to drive it and to talk about it and to cast that vision and to tell everybody where you're going and what you're doing, the mission that you're on, and how many people you're going to help and all of those things, that's why people stay stuck and they're completely oblivious to it.
Right.
But, luckily I had some advice from you guys and just figured out early on that getting exposed to a higher level of thinking and a different outside perspective on my business was the game changer.
Yeah.
Because you only have the awareness of what's going on in your head. That's what got you to this point.
Yeah.
And you can muddle your way through it to get up there.
Yeah.
But dude, you can't go from 2 million to 10 million.
Right.
Just like that.
Yeah.
On your own.
Yeah.
By muddling through it.
Right.
So that was huge. That involvement and that culture, having something to show up to that people can get excited about.
Yeah.
And they're coming back the next day, coming to contribute to the team.
Yeah. Exactly, dude.
Yeah.
You don't want to do it alone, dude. You want to create a culture that you enjoy coming to as well.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? For your own sanity. But dude, one thing about you I've noticed for a long time is you're very intuitive. And I know that because I remember seeing your 10X videos with your 10X hat on, dude, before you even went out on your own.
Yeah.
And so when you called me like, hey man, I want to come in and talk to you guys, I knew. I was like, oh man, he wants to go do his own thing. Because I saw you were posting videos out knocking doors, like, hey guys, let's get it. And you're giving your positive messages. And when you start getting around that culture, that environment, and I mean, dude, that's just the type of person that's gonna want to go on and do something bigger than himself and just, where you were at with that company.
Yeah.
And so I thought it was cool, man, when you were like, dude, I want to come in and talk to you guys. And then you were looking for that advice. And a lot of people aren't willing to do that. They're not willing to just seek out that advice and then execute it. And I was actually talking about that with Jordan the other day, our trainer. I was like, he said something about you, like how just next level and intense and, how you go all in. And I'm like, yeah, dude. And like, you're very coachable as well. Like when like, hey, this guy's an expert or this guy knows this and he says to do this and I'll get that. Like you go all in and you execute. And that's a lot of people aren't willing to do that, man. So
that's been a big thing. And it comes natural to me because I'm so hungry for wanting to do big things and wanting more out of myself and knowing that it's not going to come from within here. I have everything that it takes. But that outside perspective and getting some criticism, I've kind of thrived on that. Yeah. Even though I am prideful and it hurts sometimes to get that outside perspective and admit that, fuck, I don't know everything. Yeah. I've been doing it shitty. Yeah. A lot of the time. Yeah. And so you got to look yourself in the mirror and admit that, well, I don't know everything. Yeah. I have been doing it like shit. And unless I'm willing to make those changes and keep asking for advice, I'm going to stay stuck like most people do. Yeah. So that's a huge piece of advice to people. If you are stuck, to get out there and get an outside perspective, somebody that's operating on a higher level than you, and ask them for help. Ask them for their advice. It's a sign of humility. And in all reality, dude, you have to have it to be a great leader. I mean, it's one of the most key ingredients to becoming a strong leader is having that humility, because you can't. It's one thing to have an ego and have pride and be a badass, and there's strengths in that, right? Yeah. But if you can also, even though you do realize that about yourself, you have that awareness and you can tap into that humility side. I mean, dude, it's a game changer. It can help you go to the next level. Yeah, I think it's been a good combination of the two. Yeah. Because at one point, I only had one piece of it, and I just wanted to tell everybody how badass I was, even though I was the fucking guy on the couch. So then it was like transitioning to actually wanting to do something special with my life, and then taking all those things that I still have, like that intensity and the confidence that I have, and combining the two. Yeah. And being that leader that people want to follow, because you're humble and you're willing to admit that you don't know the answers, and you're willing to take advice from even the guys that I work with. I mean, they're some of the smartest people that I know. Yeah. I've got little brothers involved with my business, my mom, and pretty much everybody. If you were to ask them a couple of questions about me.
Yeah.
One of the things is that I ask them questions. I'm like, what is your perspective on this?
Yeah.
I want to know what everybody views this like what angle am I not looking at this from?
Yeah.
So when I am trying to figure something out, I'm considering a lot of different perspectives.
Yeah, which is important for multiple reasons. People want to be heard, you know, in your organization. And if you're trying to develop leaders within your organization, you should give that to them. You should want them to be heard, and you should want to learn from them, because leaders should always be seeking leaders, you know, bottom line. I mean, asking for help is a superpower. You know, a lot of people don't realize that, man. They get too caught up trying to be the man and being right all the time.
Yeah, and you see it a lot in business.
If you've got enough humility, you'll learn from your team. You'll seek out other leaders, because you'll know you don't got it all figured out. And if you really are hungry, like you said, like you're going to be willing to do that to go to the next level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you'd mentioned briefly that you had some experience in the door-to-door, and that's what I've been doing now for 7 years.
Yeah.
But tell us about some of your door-to-door experience and how you think that affected the trajectory of your sales career, your confidence, everything like that.
Well, right at that time, we were developing Easier Accounting. That whole partnership fell apart, the Precision Corporate one. We had also been redesigning our credit repair company. At the time, it was like a prep for funding company. Credit repair was just one piece of it. We had another partner who, he's a great guy, great hustler, okay? But he was like so hungry for success as well. He was spending like company money into all these potential projects, which a lot of them were probably cool projects, but we're getting so spread thin. He's like bleeding the account down to nothing. So all of our reserves were gone, and it came to the point, and we had 2 offices. We were like, hey, brother, you can have the Salt Lake office. You can keep 100% of it. We're not going to split this up anymore through our partnership. That's yours. We're going to keep St. George. We're going to bring Trevor on as a partner. Trevor's a great natural leader. He's a good sales. He was our sales manager at the time, and he's just great at holding people accountable, and he's got a lot of strengths in that area. But I was broke. I had went from making $50,000, $60,000 a month down to making $5,000 or $6,000 a month. Well, guess what? My ex-wife was getting $5,000 or $6,000 a month. So I was running on a negative freaking, net every single month. And so I was like, I've got to make money. And Trevor's a great leader. We're going through all this stuff, right? And I was like, dudes, I'm going to go down and crush some of these doors. I've never even done face-to-face sales. I've always just done over the phone. Wow. So I was like, I wanted to see if I could do good at it, because I did good on the phone. I got good at it, right? Mm-hmm. And I was like, I want to learn how to do face-to-face sales anyway. I hear about these guys making 20, 30 grand a month. Like, I don't need to make 50, 60 like I was, but if I can make 20, I mean, that would help me get back on my feet. Plus, now I have a new wife. She's got our first child together on the way. And so I was like, I've got to figure this out. I'm either going to go bankrupt, or I'm going to work my ass off through this. So anyway, I went down, I joined this team called Zing Solar. They're not around anymore. They got bought up by some other company. But I joined their team, and, I read their scripts, and I went out and crushed the doors every single day. And I would spend 3 weeks down there. I pulled my trailer down. I lived in the campgrounds called Campland on the Bay in San Diego.
Wow.
And so I would spend 3 weeks down there, and then I'd come home for 1 week, and I would try and catch up at work. And I did that for like 6 months. And I was just trying to stash money up before that baby came, and just trying to get by until our business started kind of really producing again. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, in every business I've ever started, I don't take a dime from it. I'm paying everybody else until it gets to a certain point where I can start paying myself. Mm-hmm. And until I have a good reserve, a good cushion in the bank account where I know, like, hey, even if we're hitting hard times, I can still pay my people, I don't pay myself, right? And so I had to go out and find another way to make money. And at that time, it was selling solar door to door. Wow. And I got good at it, man. I was just like, because I would outwork everybody. Like, everyone's like, well, there's no point in knocking until everyone gets home at 5 p.m. till 9 p.m.
Tough, man. It's tough.
And everyone plays those games with themselves. I'd get up in the morning, I'd go crush neighborhoods, and I'd get way more or way less people answering the door in the morning. But you find the retired lady at home that wants to lower her power bill. You took you more doors to get to them, but I'd make sales in the morning, I'd make sales in the afternoon, I'd make sales in the evening. A couple months I was like their top guy, and it was cool, man. And I got screamed at a lot. I got chased off the yard. I mean, it was a cool experience. I learned a lot through that. But I do remember one day I was just knocking doors, and I was at a low, and I was feeling beat up, all the traveling back and forth, all the, you know, my wife's home pregnant, plus she's helping with the other kids. And, you know, it was hard on her. It was wearing on her. It was wearing on me. I just finally had this realization where I was like, man, if I was working this hard on my business at home, I'd probably already be out of my rut. But I had to go through that in order to get to that point. That was a learning lesson I had to, and it took me a while to figure it out because, you know, I'm not that fast, honestly.
So how many months did you spend out there doing the door-to-door thing?
Just 6, but
6 months.
You know, I wish I'd have figured that out after 1 month, right? I would have had 5 months just crushing it back home, turning things around.
6 months of door-to-door, though, was some great life experience.
I do not regret 1 minute of it.
Because it's significantly different than phone sales.
Oh, definitely. Definitely.
So what was your biggest takeaway from those 6 months doing door-to-door?
My biggest takeaway, I mean, dude, honestly, I became the top guy down there just because I would outwork everybody. Yeah. You know, and hard work is what I needed to feel again. Because sometimes you get out of the trenches and you're doing different hard work as a business owner, as a CEO, you know, and you're delegating a lot and you're kind of directing traffic. But I needed to get back in the trenches and figure out what it was like to really work hard again. You know, that real grind.
One way to do it.
And door-to-door is definitely that. And you got to get really good at rejection too. I mean, everybody in any sale, like I got good at phone sales, but I dealt with rejection there too. And that's always a huge separator in developing your sales skills is like, dude, if you can brush it off, you know, and go on to the next deal without that rejection tainting your next deal.
Mindset.
Yeah, I mean, dude, that's a game changer between horrible sales guy to a good one to a great one. Like, you know, there's levels to it, and whoever can handle rejection the best is gonna win the game in sales.
Did you grow up doing construction with your dad?
I did, yeah.
That's awesome.
Probably.
So do you feel like some of your work ethic just came from starting off so early and seeing your dad work his ass off?
Yeah, my dad instilled hard work into us. My dad was not great at a lot of things, you know, but he was
taxes
a hard worker.
Being one of those things.
Yeah, taxes, and, you know, relationships. And my mom had a horrible relationship, so you know, and that's the thing, man. When you're growing up, you're fed this programming, and you don't get to choose that programming. You know, you don't get to choose how your parents raise you. You know, and so you get this programming, and at some point when you become an adult, you have to choose like, am I going to continue to stay conformed to this programming that I'm on, or am I going to reprogram? And so luckily I was able to learn a lot of things of what not to do with my dad, but the one thing that I was really grateful for that I did learn from him was hard work.
Absolutely.
That guy will work his ass off. He's still packing planks and getting up in lifts and shooting on, you know, siding and hanging rain gutter. He's still doing it this day. He's 65 or 6 years old.
Wow.
You know, and he's beat up, but it's all he knows, right? And so, but hard work is key. You know, it really is.
So I was going to say, because I came from similar background. My dad's, he was a firefighter. He got his general contractor's license in the 90s, and I started on job sites when I was like 9 or 10 years old. Yeah. And learning every piece of that job. From started by picking up the wood pile, making it nice and neat, and getting my ass chewed if I didn't do it right. And every step of the way, from doing hangers, picking up trash, sweeping the floor, such attention to detail. Yeah. Plus, it teaches you how to just figure stuff out, and the work ethic that comes with those experiences. I'm scared to death for my kids because they don't have that. They come hang out in the office, which is different than the job site. But the one thing that I see, especially in the door-to-door space, which I've been in for a while, is if you don't have the work ethic, like the guys are looking at the other side, like there's something. Yeah. There's all this stuff where people are making money and they're excited about solar, they're pest control, security systems. There's so many things you can make money in. Yeah. But if you don't have the work ethic and doing good at what you're doing right now, you're not going to do good anywhere else either.
No, absolutely not. Yeah. I tell people all the time, I'm like, look, this might not be where you end up, but the habits you're creating right now are going to dictate where you end up. You know, if you're not willing to go 100% here at your job, you're not going to be 100% when you start your own business. Yeah. You know, these are habits that you're creating right now. So even if you are an employee and your vision is to be a badass business owner, you should be doing 100% effort at your job so that you can be 100% business owner when you do start that business. You know, a lot of people mess that up. They think, man, my side hustle is more important. So they half-ass what they're doing at their job to just go put more effort into their side hustle.
I'll start working hard when I get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that I think that's a big lesson for people. And luckily I was always like that. I mean, your dad was probably a little bit like mine. Hey, you're here, you do your job 100%. You don't half-ass things. Mm-hmm. When you work for a dad who's a construction owner, you know, like, and it's a very detailed position, like they know when you half-ass and they don't let it slide. And I was grateful for those lessons too, because reputation's everything in business.
Absolutely.
And when you got a guy that's a contractor, that his whole business is built on his reputation for doing quality work, and he's got some employee doing half-ass work, they're not going to let it fly, you know. And those are a couple of great lessons I learned from it. Work hard and do things right, because reputation is everything.
Yep.
As you start hitting different levels in business.
Do it right the first time.
Yeah.
Because in construction, building houses, there was always, I mean, you always find yourself trying to take a little shortcut, or you're trying to do it fast.
Yeah.
And there's nothing worse than doing it fast and then realizing you fucking did it wrong and you got to do it
thing
over again.
Yeah.
And the same thing comes in business, man.
Yeah.
I've made those mistakes,
Yeah.
and I've hurried through hires, and I've hurried through processes that I should have taken my time on.
Yeah.
And then I'm 6 months down the road starting back at square one, because I made the mistake of not giving it the attention that it needed and that it deserved.
Exactly.
And I lost 6 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
It makes me sick to think about. But
But
you got to go through those.
Yeah. You go through those a few times, and it's super valuable.
Right on, man. It's been fun.
Yeah.
So we've already done some advice for new business owners.
Yeah.
And your guys' podcast is called Real Business Owners.
Yeah.
And we have similar audiences, I think. But what would you say is one big piece of advice from all of your experiences and all of the things that you've gone through in business that you would give to somebody starting maybe that side hustle, or they're just getting ready to pull the trigger on their side hustle, making it a full-time thing?
You know what? We kind of hit on it right here at the very end. And I was just talking to my little sister-in-law who graduated high school today. I was like, hey, you know, all that reputation that you develop in high school and all that, it don't matter. What matters right now is right now. You're starting your life. And if you work with everything you do, if you're keeping your reputation at mind, you're going to do good work. You understand the value of your reputation, you're going to go places. And a lot of people don't figure that out until too late. And I didn't either, to be quite honest with you. I wish I would have focused on that more. But you're not going to half-ass things. You're not going to shortcut things if you always have that reputation at
you're going to do what you say.
Yeah,
when
exactly.
You say
you're a person that follows through. You're a person that finishes, because you want your client to turn into more clients because of a badass reputation that you have. And I wish I would have figured that out a lot sooner, man, because for long times we did the grab cash model. We did it. And you think it's the fast way, you think it's the right way, the productive way to get your business off the ground. Like, oh, we just need money, we need money. But if you figure out how to really service your client right, and you don't half-ass it, the compounding effect 5 years, 10 years down the road is going to be so much more significant than grabbing all that cash early. You know, service your people above board, go above and beyond, and like really keep your reputation at the forefront as you're building your life, your vision.
And even when it comes to the little things, I was just dealing with a vendor that I had purchased something from. Yeah. And you know, it was product, so it's a little bit different than what we do. It was an online purchase, and they sent me the wrong one. Yeah. And then it was funny trying to go through the process to get the thing back and get the right one sent, because they were going to make every excuse in the book how it was my fault that this happened. Yeah. And I'm on the phone with the owner, come to find out, and she was sitting there blaming me. And they're a big company. Yeah. And the owner is having this conversation, and there's nothing you can say to some people, but that type of thing trickles into other areas of your life, and eventually that will have some type of impact on her business.
Absolutely it will.
Because even something little like that, I'm trying to order myself some bikini trunks that cost $55. Yeah. And she's giving me the runaround. Yeah. When it was $55. Yeah. and she just lost a customer.
Yeah.
So it's not a big deal.
Not only would you rebuy, you would probably refer a ton of people to her if you were like, you got above board customer service, even if she did mess up, but she was like, oh, Jeff, let me make this right. That's just not what our company's all about. Let me go above and beyond for you. You'd be like, dang, that's badass. Let me go ahead and get more. Let me go ahead and refer you people. And that's what I'm talking about, man. Like, there's nothing more powerful than like, you know, just a reputation and customers turning to customers. That's really how you build great companies, one at a time.
And if there's an opportunity for somebody that has a bad experience to go leave a bad review, that's when they're going to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I was so fired up when I got done with that phone call.
Yeah.
I was one of those customers. I'm looking for the Google listing. I'm like, where is this lady's Google listing?
Yeah.
And I cooled down after 5 minutes and let it go. But that's one thing with my business. We have over 500 5-star reviews.
Yeah.
And I've only been around for 3 years.
Yeah.
But from day one, I've lost money on jobs because I was going to make every single customer feel like they got the job done and it was up to their standards, even if we had to lose money, even if we had to reorder an entire order of windows.
Yeah.
We lose money on that deal.
Yeah.
But I committed to them. They committed to me. I'm going to make that thing right. And I'm going to show up with a smile, even though it hurts to lose money.
Which you might make money if they send you 3 people or 2 people. Or,
you never know.
Yeah.
But that is the difference between companies that last and that can build when they're willing to go the extra distance to make their customers happy that most people aren't.
Yeah.
Most people are just trying to collect that money, move on to the next one. It's just a numbers game.
Yeah.
So the other one I wanted to ask you was, if you're sitting in front of yourself here, 25 years old, what was that, 13, 14 years ago?
Yeah.
14 years ago, what advice would you give yourself?
Man, I just had a kid ask me this question not too long ago on Facebook Messenger, and I told him, I was like, dude, just don't give a shit about all the people in your life trying to hold you back. Like, they care about you, they love you, and they're telling you to have backup plans, and they're telling you to like be smart or don't go down these roads or those roads. Like, dude, you can love those people, but stop talking to them about your dreams. You know, go all in on what you want to go all in on. They have no idea what's possible because they haven't done it. You obviously don't have an average person's mindset. They do. You know, you can still love them, but you don't have to take their advice, their criticism. You don't have to let it affect you. I tell people all the time, I say, you know, it sucks, man. We put a lot of limitations on ourselves sometimes, and we have to power through that. But the worst thing we can do is allow other people to put limitations on us and buy into that, you know? So just cut that shit out of your life. You don't have to cut them out of your life, but cut that out of your life. You don't have to ask them their business advice when they're not. Your mom's probably not a business owner, and she probably hasn't built a badass 8-9-figure business, you know? So like quit asking for her advice on that. You know, just be with them as your family, but do what you want to do. Go all in on your dreams, man.
I love that.
And he was super grateful for it. He's like, oh, because he was a young kid. Yeah. And he's in that journey. He's in that phase. And I did that too. Like I went down a lot of different roads because I cared so much what everybody thought, you know? And so I think that's crucial advice for the young people that are wanting to get their business off the ground and their dream going, you know?
And you said it, those people love you. They care about you, but because of their limited experiences in life, they're puking their fears onto you.
Yeah.
And it happened to me. It happened to you.
Yep.
And the one thing that I like that you said there was you got to go all in.
You do.
You got to commit for yourself and believe in yourself and then just go all in. Give it everything that you've got. Sometimes you're going to fail.
Yeah.
But most of the time, if you have the work ethic and your heart is in it and you really are going 100% all in, there's very small chance you're going to fail.
Yeah. You don't fail till you give up, man. You know what I mean? Well, you might fail, but you don't lose till you give up.
Yeah.
So
you take your lessons.
Yeah.
And I've been so lucky, dude. It's like I've got such good karma, and I've been so lucky to have the businesses and the opportunities and the work ethic and the talents and the abilities that I've been just blessed and born with.
Yeah.
Some people aren't.
Yeah.
But one thing you can develop is work ethic, integrity, do what you say you're going to do. When you say you're going to do it, make a commitment, follow through with it. Those little things go a long ways to make up for all those other things.
That's the stuff that you will do if you really care about your reputation, you know? So I like to try and tell people to really tap into that early on, because it took me a little longer to figure it out. Like, man, if you do everything with your reputation in mind, you won't cut those corners.
Yep, absolutely. Well, shoot, man. So tell us how we can find you on Instagram and all that.
Oh, shoot, man. Just go down to the Real Business Owners page and smash the follow button. Is that what they say? Smash it.
Smash the follow button. The Real Business Owners.
Yeah. You can go.
It's a phenomenal podcast, and you guys have some good, very cool content on your Instagram.
Yeah, I think we've been proud of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, we're just getting started. We love it. It's one of our favorite parts of the business. But
it's mine too, dude. Just adding so much value, and the feedback that you get from people, the messages, the inspiration that you give people. Like, you never know who you're going to help. And for me, when I started, it was like, even if I help one person, I just love this so much.
Yep.
I want to bring value, but you're reaching a lot of people. You guys have a lot of followers, and there's a lot of engagement.
Super fortunate. Yeah.
It's fun, dude.
It is fun.
This is fun.
I'm glad you got started too, dude. I super appreciate you having me on as a guest. It's an honor, it really is, and I love what you're doing, dude. You've really leveled up quick, man. You've done some things very quick in the last few years that a lot of people can't do. So, and that's your all-in mentality, dude. It's very visible in you.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's what I keep talking about. Naming the show is the all-in experience.
Yeah.
Something about going all in with Jefferson.
You should, bro. Fits you well.
Yeah, I love it. Episode 15 in the books. Appreciate you coming on, Kale.
My pleasure.